It's a lovely day to walk down the road, and if you ever stop singing, I will explode. Whoa. Oh no! Hey, who put that there?
New Super Mario Bros. Wii, the game that began the infamous staple of unoriginality in the New Super Mario Bros. Series. Now that's not to say it's a bad game, far from it. It just isn't really that much different from the original game. That's all. Released on November 11th, 2009 for the Nintendo Wii, this here was actually the first game in the series to have 4-player co-op. But I'll be talking about that later on, because hoo boy is it chaotic. Don't believe me? Well, just you wait until you try it out, because it sure is a wild and crazy time, especially towards the end of the game.
So the game's questions are, is the 4-player co-op in this game actually chaotic? Why aren't Wario and Waluigi in this game? Why is the game's box art red instead of white, like all the other Wii games out there? And how the heck does Princess Peach always get kidnapped by Bowser over and over again? Well, time to saddle up on Yoshi. Bazinga!
The game starts off with Mario, Luigi, Blue Toad, and Yellow Toad celebrating Princess Peach's 102nd birthday at her castle, when all of a sudden, a huge cake appears. Okay, I highly doubt they can eat all that in just one sitting. But then, all of a sudden, Bowser Jr. and the Koopalings jump out of the cake, and they throw it right on top of Princess Peach, and she somehow survives that. The cake is then thrown onto Bowser's airship, and it takes off, with Mario and his friends chasing after it. Then, a couple of red toads in the castle toss a propeller mushroom present and a penguin suit present into a cannon, and then they blast them all the way to Mario and his pals, in order to help them on their adventure. And so, the quest to rescue Princess Peach from Bowser begins.
Okay guys, so, I have the perfect assumption for the story of the inevitable Mario Odyssey 2. So get this, Bowser kidnaps Princess Peach, and it's up to Mario to save her. Boom! Nailed it! Sheer genius! I'll bet nobody ever thought of that one before.
Now believe it or not, just like WarioWare Smooth Moves, this game has two different modes, single player and multiplayer. But I'll be talking about the single player first, because that's how I roll. This game is a 2D side-scrolling platformer, where you play as Mario and have to complete certain levels, which are all filled to the brim with helpful items and harmful enemies and obstacles. In order to complete a level, you have to reach the large flagpole at the end of the stage. If you reach the top of it, you get an extra life. Not exactly sure how that works, but okay then. The game can be played with either the Wiimote held horizontally, or with the Wiimote and nunchuck. Now personally, I prefer playing with the horizontal Wiimote, but that's just me. But anyways, in this game, you can run, jump, and perform special additional moves that return from the original game, such as wall jumps, ground pounds, double jumps, and triple jumps. New to this game are several abilities that make use of the Wiimote's motion control features. You can shake the Wiimote in order to perform various different actions, such as a short spin jump that can defeat certain enemies, a mid-air twirl that can be used in order to sustain a little more airtime, and the ability to pick up, carry, and throw certain objects. Certain areas within certain levels of the game, such as specific platforms, can be manipulated by standing on top of them and tilting the Wiimote in any direction you please. Certain levels are also set underwater as well, where you have to swim in order to traverse them. Now sure, I know everybody hates these types of levels, including me, but it's just a part of the game, so just deal with it.
And speaking of manipulation, look directly at this watch. Don't take your eyes off of it. You are getting very sleepy. Oh yes, very.
Each level has a certain amount of coins for you to collect, and if you collect 100 of them, the coin counter resets back to 0, and you get an extra life, just like the good old days. Certain levels have certain power-ups encased in floating blocks, which help Mario on his quest. How these blocks are floating in midair is beyond me, but hey, there's Nintendo for ya. But anyways, as I was saying about the blocks, for instance, the classic Super Mushroom makes you increase in size, and allows you to take an extra hit from an enemy. The Fire Flower allows you to shoot fireballs at certain enemies. And the Superstar gives you temporary invincibility, as well as increasing your running speed. The Mini Mushroom, which makes a comeback from the original game, makes you like 2 pixels tall, allowing you to jump higher, run on water, and fit through small spaces, while also making you vulnerable to certain enemies and other obstacles. This game also introduces new power-ups as well, such as the Propeller Mushroom, which allows you to fly for a very short period of time by shaking the Wiimote. But keep in mind that it will eventually fly away if you don't collect it in time, so think fast. But anyways, then there's the Ice Flower, which gives you the ability to shoot ice balls, which can freeze enemies into large ice cubes that you can pick up, carry, and throw. The Penguin Suit is essentially the same thing, but it also allows you to slide along the ground on your belly. But it works so much better when you're on ice, because ice is nice. Oh hey, that rhymes. Cool. But make sure you're not actually walking on thin ice, am I right? But anyways, it also allows you to not slip on the ice as well, just like penguins in real life. Cool. Not only that, but it also gives you better swimming controls underwater, so that's a huge plus right there. Huge, I tell ya. Okay, that was a terrible Donald Trump impression, and I am very sorry about that. But anyways, Yoshi also appears in certain levels as well, and you can ride on top of him as he is able to eat, swallow, and spit out certain enemies and objects, as well as flutter for a very short period of time. You can also use him as an extra jump as well, which so many people have sadly been doing to him ever since Super Mario World in 1990. But unlike in that game, you can't actually bring him with you into other levels, which is kind of lame. Oh well.
Okay, but seriously though, the last time Yoshi appeared in a 2D Mario game was in that game I mentioned just a few seconds ago, 19 years prior to this game. I mean seriously though, what took them so long? Did they forget all about him? If so, then they should feel sorry for themselves.
The game consists of 8 worlds, with the secret 9th world becoming accessible by locating all of the hidden star coins in the game, which serve as the primary collectible in each stage. Now sure, you don't have to collect any of these star coins if you don't want to, but they are required for unlocking World 9, as well as 100% completing the game. But anyways, these levels are accessed via a 3D world map, and completing a stage unlocks the next one, with multiple paths sometimes becoming available after finishing a level. Each world consists of 2 boss levels, a midway fortress, and a purple castle at the end of each world. Completing the purple castle stage gives you access to the next world. Each boss stage has a boss battle with the Koopalings, who also made the last appearance in Super Mario World as well. First up, we have Larry in World 1, Roy in World 2, Lemmy in World 3, Wendy in World 4, Iggy in World 5, aka my all-time favorite Koopaling, Morton in World 6, Ludwig in World 7, and Bowser as the final boss in World 8. Oh, and the World 8 fortress boss is Kamek, in case you didn't know that. There's a grand total of 3 worlds that have Bowser Jr. and his airships as bosses, after completing the Purple Castle stage. These worlds are World 4, World 6, and World 8.
Oh boy, that sure is a lot of worlds. Well, okay. Not really. Yeah, I know. I sit on a throne of lies.
In addition to certain levels, there are also these things that are located across the world maps called Toad Houses, in which you can play a very short mini-game in order to earn either extra lives or certain items that can be equipped from the world map screen. World map screens often have certain enemies roaming around them in certain dedicated areas in which, when encountered, initiate a mini-boss fight that awards you 3 extra mushrooms from a toad trapped inside a treasure chest after completing it. At certain points in the game, a toad will appear, trapped in one of the previously completed levels in that world. You have the option to rescue him from a block by hitting it from underneath, and carry him safely to the end of the stage. Doing this will give you 3 extra lives, and unlock a temporary toad house at the beginning of the world for you to enter. There are 3 types of toad houses in this game. Red toad houses, which give you extra items, green toad houses, which give you extra lives, and yellow toad houses, which give you a superstar, and that's it. Yeah, I know, right? But anyways, each course contains a grand total of 3 star coins, which are hidden in hard-to-reach areas. These star coins can be spent on hint movies in Peach's castle, which show you certain tips and tricks in the game. including the locations of secrets and methods for getting star coins and infinite lives and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
So remember kids, if you want to get more skilled at this game, then just spend some star coins to watch some hit movies. But then again, it does take a little bit of skill in order to find these star coins, so I don't really get what's confusing here. Oh well.
When you first play the game, you start off with 5 lives, but even more lives can be obtained through a plethora of ways, including collecting items such as 1-up mushrooms, and playing certain minigames in certain toad houses. You can collect up to 99 lives in this game, but unfortunately, it doesn't go any higher than that, which is kind of a bummer. If you lose a life, and trust me, you will, you get kicked out of the course and back into the world map, forcing you to jump back in and try again. If you lose all your lives, it results in a big fat game over, forcing you to return to your last save point in the game.
Here we go again!
Most courses contain a midway flag, which acts as a checkpoint, so that way, when you lose a life, you start over at the checkpoint, instead of at the beginning of the course, so at least that's good. Certain courses also contain hidden alternative exits that lead to a pole with a red flag, instead of a black one, like usual. Reaching this goal opens up a secret path on the world map that leads to a hidden area, such as an extra stage, or Phil Swift's giant cannon that can blast you all the way to another world, skipping other worlds entirely. Mind blown!
Hey, wait a minute. You can't skip other worlds entirely. That's cheating. But then again, what isn't cheating these days?
The game also contains this new feature called Super Guide, which is a concept meant to help players who are having trouble completing a certain course. However, this feature is only in the single-player mode of the game. Also, did you know that this was actually the first ever Nintendo game to include this concept? Huh, maybe they thought this game was too difficult, or something like that. I don't know. But anyways, here's how it works. If you lose at least 8 lives in a row in any level of the game, a green exclamation point block appears at the beginning of the stage, and it sounds like a doorbell, for some odd reason. But anyways, if you hit it from underneath, it allows a computer-controlled Luigi in order to show you a safe path through the level, without revealing any star coin locations or secret exits, because that's what the hint movies at Peach's Castle are for. You can interrupt the Super Guide at any given time, and take control of Luigi at any given time from that point onwards. After Luigi completes the course, you are then given the option of either trying the level again, or skipping it completely.
Psh, who needs to do homework and chores when you can just have Super Guide Luigi do it all for you?
Now even though this here is a 2D game, many of the characters and objects are 3D polygonal renderings on top of 2D backgrounds, resulting in a 2.5D effect. Huh, I never really thought about that. But anyways, that officially puts a conclusion to my quick explanation of the single-player mode in this game. And now let's talk about the multiplayer mode, shall we? Let's shall. Now, as I've said at the very beginning of this review, no fourth wall break intended, this here was actually the first ever Mario game to feature simultaneous cooperative multiplayer gameplay. Up to 4 players can play through certain levels in the game together, as either Mario, Luigi, Blue Toad, or Yellow Toad. Out of all of the characters in the Mario universe, they could have chose Wario and Waluigi, Petey Piranha and Womp, Homer Simpson and SpongeBob, but nope! Instead, they were all like, nah, how about a generic blue and yellow Toad? Yeah, that's genius! I mean, come on, they could have at least given you the option to customize the Toad's colors or something like that. I don't know. Oh well. At least they didn't choose Bowser and Princess Peach, that's for sure. And I'll keep this as simple as I can. 2 players is fine, 3 players is a little risky, but 4 players is an utter disaster. Don't try it. Ever. Or do. I don't care. But anyways, certain stages are completed after at least 1 player touches the flagpole. The other 3 players have a limited amount of time to grab it in pursuit, before they automatically enter a bubble, and the stage is already completed. However, a bonus is awarded if all 3 players touch the flagpole within no more than 3 seconds of the first player who grabbed it. Players are ranked after clearing each level, based on earning points, collecting coins, and defeating certain enemies.
And then here's where the 4-player co-op gets a little chaotic. And by a little, I mean a lot.
Players are able to interact with each other in several different ways, which can be used in order to either help or compete with each other. For example, players can jump on top of each other's heads in order to reach higher places in the game. Not only that, but they can also pick up, carry, and throw each other, and eat and spit each other out while riding on Yoshis. Yoshis also come in many different colors in this mode as well. If a large distance forms in between either two or more characters, and trust me, it will, the game's camera will compensate by panning out, in order to show all the characters in a single screen at once. If these players still can't catch up, they are then dragged by the edge of the screen until they either move forwards faster, or lose a life via a passing enemy or obstacle. If one player enters a different area of a level, such as one that is enclosed by either a warp pipe or a door, without the other three players, they will then eventually warp over to the same place after a short period of time.
There. Now I can somehow sense that you guys now have some second thoughts about this game's multiplayer mode.
The first player, who controls Mario, is the one who gets to navigate the world maps and select the stages, like they're Mr. Large in Charge or something. The players return to the world map if they all lose a life before anybody respawns inside of a bubble in the stage. If all the players run out of lives and get a game over, they are then forced to restart from the last save point. If a player loses a life, they re-emerge in the level, encased in a bubble. A player can still continue playing if another player pops the bubble. A player can also pop the bubble by either touching it, or by hitting it with a fireball, ice ball, or Koopa shell. Players can also voluntarily encase themselves inside of the bubble, while a more skilled player, like me, traverses a difficult segment of the level. However, if all the players in a co-op session enter a bubble at the same time, whether that they will be through either losing a life or voluntarily, they automatically lose the level, and they are forced to restart.
Man, these sure are some strong bubbles, since of course, they can hold people inside. But then again, you can still pop these bubbles, so at the same time, they're not really that strong. Huh. How odd.
In addition to the main story mode in this game, which can be played in either single or multiplayer mode, there are actually two more dedicated multiplayer modes. First up, there's Free For All, in which players complete certain courses together and compete in order to get the highest possible rank. And then there's Coin Battle, in which players compete in order to collect the highest possible number of coins. But enough about the single and multiplayer and all the different modes in this game. Now, onto the rest of the story. So, after traveling through several worlds and fighting the Koopalings, Bowser Jr., and Kamek, Mario and the gang finally arrive at Bowser's castle. Bowser is then defeated, but he is then revived by Peach, or Kamek, who casts a magical spell that transforms him into a giant. Bowser chases after Mario and the others, destroying everything in his path, until Mario finds a large switch and triggers it, causing Bowser to fall through the ground and releasing Peach from her cage. Mario and Peach then depart from Bowser's castle in a hot air balloon with a Bowser emblem on it, for some odd reason. Luigi and the blue and yellow Toads follow behind them in their own Bowser hot air balloon as well. Peach then asks Mario if she ever told him about that secret world, obviously referencing World 9, leaving Mario scratching his head, confused. Then, the credits are shown as a little minigame where the letters in the credits are written on blocks, which can be smashed from underneath by the playable characters on the screen, in order to get the most amount of coins. In the top left corner of the screen is a coin counter for each character, so that each player can keep track of how many coins they collected in the credits sequence. All 4 characters always appear, but only the ones who are controlled by the players themselves can get coins. After the credits are over, we see Larry stumbling along, with the 2 hot air balloons in the background. He then tumbles over, but Bowser Jr. comes along and points over to where he should be, joining the Koopalings and helping them take Bowser out of his unstable castle. They then flip him over, but when they do, the castle lands right on top of Bowser, as he growls in pain. Man, he's gonna feel that in the morning.
And now for the flaws. Let's get to them before Yoshi decides to ride on top of me instead. My point proven.
The first flaw that I have with this game is that some of these star coins are a little too easy to find. And I don't mean just the ones in World 1. I mean seriously, look at this one in World 8. It's right out in the open. Gee, I'm sure nobody's ever gonna find out where that one is. No siree, Bob. But anyways, I just wish these star coins were in more hidden places that you wouldn't really see normally. Now sure, some of the star coins in this game are actually like this, but just not all of them, as I would have liked. Oh well. The second flaw with the game is the massive number of ways you can easily get tons of lives in just one sitting. You see, there's at least one spot in every single Mario game where it's so easy to rack up infinite lives. But there's just way too many of those spots in this game, and it kinda makes an already somewhat difficult game to begin with a little too easy. I just wish there weren't so many of these spots to do that in this game. That's all. The third flaw is, as mentioned before, not being able to bring Yoshi with you into other levels. But I already mentioned that earlier, so moving on. The fourth, final, and most obvious flaw is, of course, the multiplayer. Now sure, there isn't anything wrong with the actual mode itself, but sometimes, there are just some moments where a player could get stuck on the scrolling screen and lose a life. Or sometimes, you have to wait for a player to catch up, or something like that. And every single time you play this mode, if you really want to collect all the star coins, you constantly get the feeling of saying, "Guys, wait, hang on, I gotta get the star coin first." Or, "Guys, hey, wait up, don't you forget about me." So yeah, like I said a few times before, things can get pretty chaotic in multiplayer mode. Now sure, that's not to say it isn't a ton of fun, because believe me, it's a blast to play and hilarious to watch. You should definitely try it out next time you have friends over, but be prepared for the ultimate chaoticness it has to offer. So with that being said, I'm giving New Super Mario Bros. Wii 87 out of 100 Mario hats. Only slightly better than WarioWare Smooth Moves, I know, but this game is pretty much the reason why you should have a Nintendo Wii in the first place. It's playable, addictive, and fresh gameplay allows for some insidious fun. And despite the simplicity of the game's graphics, I still think it looks nice today. Personally, I think this game is way more fun in multiplayer mode, rather than single. It's just so unique and gloriously entertaining that you just can't help but pick up and play it. So, if you still haven't played this game in a very long time, then what are you waiting for? At least give it a second chance. Long live the revival of 2D Mario games.
Okay guys, so next time we meet, we'll be taking a look at Kirby's Epic Yarn for the Nintendo Wii. So grab your cat's yarn collection, if you have a cat of course, and go behind the seams. Get it? Seams instead of scenes? Huh? No? Okay, well stay tuned for that. Oh, and remember, gaming is not a crime. Until then, and stay awesome sauce.
Ha! That's what you get for telling me that Princess Peach is in another castle! 7 times in a row! Hey, wait a minute! This isn't flying, this is falling! With style! Why are you still alive? Wow! Shocker of the day! Whee!
Say what?
Yoshi, could you please get off me now? I still have to edit this video. Once again, no fourth wall break intended. Oh well.